Hello, citizens of Gotha. My name is Graham Elwood. You're watching the Political Vigilante and listening to the live stream. It is Wednesday, September 30th, 2020. What's up, stage eventer Craig? Truth to Tweet, Anthony, Drew. It says we only have 12 people watching. I find that hard to believe. I find that hard to believe. YouTube, why are you lying? We're also streaming on the Rockfed, ladies and gentlemen. The Rockfed. Is this stream starting or ending? It's starting. The stream is beginning. It just began. A little after around 6:35 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Drew can't vote blue. Good for you. 20 people are watching. It's just started. It's just begun, ladies and gentlemen. Woohoo! Hi, Graham. Wish you could have come to Vermont. Me too, Vermont Breadsmith. Me too. Ron and I, man, this whole summer was going to be so much cool tours, but we will do it next summer. We will hit the road next summer. I hit the like button on the way in. Thank you so much. Do a truth to tweet it, everybody. Hit the like button. Share this out on your social media. Let the world know we are ready to rock and roll, ladies and gentlemen. Rock and roll. Rock and roll on the YouTube Live. Pumpkin Spice 2020. You got it. You got it. Anybody traveling these days? Oh, good question. Happy Hump Day. You got that right. What's up? What's up to you, Jared Zena? Staged eventer. Back in my day on YouTube. Tell us about today's t-shirt. I will absolutely do that. This is my friend's shirt. He's one of my surf buddies, and he made this shirt. If you can see it on the back, it says, can you see the whole logo? When I turn around, I can't see what's behind me. It says, COVID don't surf. Let me stand up. There we go. See it? COVID don't surf. He's one of my surf buddies. Lives in Southern California. Lockdown 2020. That's the California Bear. Those are palm trees. These are two surfboards. So that's it's kind of a planned words from the Apocalypse Now movie. If you've ever seen that movie, where they talk about wanting to go surfing. Robert Duvall plays this crazy colonel. And they're like, I don't know. He's like, I want to surf. There's like 6-foot peak. And they're like, sir, it's pretty hairy, man. Charlie's got that point. Charlie don't surf. That's a crazy slogan. So, yeah. So that's what this is. I'm actually going to have him on because I'm going to start selling, like he's going to sell these, and there's going to be a coupon code or something like that you guys can get to save some money. So, and the money's going to go to like COVID relief, and it's all good. So COVID don't surf. Bow, 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 boom, boom. I would take the shirt off and show it to you, but that would be weird. Glad you liked the shirt, Truth to Tweet. Hello, Crystal Folk. What's up, Victory Jen? Victory Jen, I believe you're joining us from Mexico. Buenos tardes. No, buenas noches. Buenas noches. Me llamo Graham. ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? See, I can now be Beto O'Rourke. Been so busy lately. Good to see your face, Graham. Good to see yours. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Please hit the like button. Share this out on your social media. We've got 51 people watching and 24 likes. Let's do it, everybody. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Glad you liked the shirt. Smash the like button. Big Kale for sure. I can see all of you like a big Zoom call. That is correct. Couple people watching over on the Rockfin, ladies and gentlemen, simulcasting at Rockfin. Take it off, take it off. Sorry, I'm silly because I'm tired. You got that right. Folks, great way to support the show is to hit the dollar icon button. Of course, when you do that, I will answer your question, talk about whatever you'd like to talk about. Unless it's some crazy bullshit, then I might make fun of you. But that's the dice you're going to have to roll, folks, when you come on over to the Political Vigilante live stream and get a nice taste of these vegan guns. Look at, I don't wear a lot of white t-shirts. Don't wear a lot of, I'm a black t-shirt guy, but my buddy's COVID Don't Serve shirt just fit perfectly. Just gorgeous. Just a perfect fit. Buenos noches, Senor Airwood. Buenos noches, Senorita Victory Gin. What's the other? I was thinking Portuguese for a second. I was going to say, tudo bem? That's what they say in Portuguese, in Brazilian Portuguese. Tudo bem? Você say, como está? Como está? Bien? Sí o no? Fireboy. Thank you for supporting the show, ladies and gentlemen. Shave your knuckles for justice, Fireboy. Morning, Saint. We're glad you caught it live, too. The money button doesn't work well for me. I don't know why. Dropping likes, good friend. Share this on your social media that I'm live, ladies and gentlemen, live. Burr, 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 burr. All right. Going to talk about a couple of fun segments today, ladies and gentlemen. Sí, y tú, sí. Gracias. Gracias, mi amiga. Yo un poco cansado. This is my Portuguese, my Spanagese that I'm speaking, sort of a hybrid. Drew Wintermeyer, Drew, shave your knuckles for justice, Drew. Put Madison, Wisconsin on your 2021 tour. I will absolutely do that. I don't know if you know this, Drew. I'm glad you brought that up. Madison is where I lived. I was born in Stoughton, Wisconsin. I'm the youngest of four because at the time, Stoughton was, we were living in Madison. My father was teaching at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. He was the theater professor. He was the chairman of the theater department for years. I grew up in Nakoma. I went to Henry David Thoreau grade school and Cherokee Middle School just for 1 year. After the 6th grade, we moved to Evanston, which is right outside, a suburb of Chicago. So my sisters went to Madison West High School. And yeah. So I know Madison quite well. I love Madison. It is the Mad City. I love that town so much. And especially since my father passed away last week, it's sort of reconnected with people that I grew up with. And I just had a phone call today with a kid that I live 4 doors down from. And we were talking about that. His father passed away like a month ago, which was a bummer. But we were both talking. We both had college professor dads. So Madison is so fun. We had season tickets to Wisconsin Badger games when I was a kid. Now, this is before Barry Alvarez. This is in the 70s when they were awful. I remember we sat in a game and it was freezing and they lost to Indiana 3-0. That was a football game. Yes, you're correct. But I remember that the 5th quarter and all that stuff, the Budweiser song, when you say Wisconsin. So I don't know, a little piece of trivia for you, Drew. I don't know how old you are, but they used to do that during the games. And when they like tied Ohio State or some crazy thing like that, the fans would party so much. And the football team was awful, and the games were sold out, and nobody cared that they were awful. And people were dancing so much that the upper deck shook, and they went, "We got to do that." That's when the fifth quarter started. Little piece of trivia for you. Yeah, what was it? We were a Wisconsin Badger football senior season ticket holder. My dad and my brother and I would do that. So I love Madison. We will be back. We did it last year. We will do it again. Bossa Nova restaurants in Los Angeles. See it too. Is Graham wearing an earpiece? Yes. I can sort of hear the microphone levels. Obviously, I just put it in just instinctively. I need this when I do interviews with I'm not having any interviews today, or when I play a video clip, I can hear this. This is how I do it. Or this is how Big Kale tells me to spew lies to you guys, to propagandize you, to deny you the truth of Granny Petrol. Independent Left News, what's up? No entendo em português. Eu hablo português, melhor espanhol. Em português eu falo português melhor espanhol. Em português, boa noite, bom viagem. All right. You just moved back from Milwaukee. I went to high school with Fritz Blandon. Oh, right on, man. Right on. Cool. Yeah, Mad City's a fantastic. Graham, what happened to the Dope Studio? What's up, Nick Thompson? Well, I've been doing some traveling, so some stuff had to go, but we have the cool StreamYard. So Nick, you haven't been here in a while. Nick's been a supporter of the show for a long time. Nick, good to see you here. So I'll do a segment right now, and I'll show you how it works. What did Granny Petrol think of the first debate last night? Oh, she loved it. She was excited. I know we have our own feelings about the NFL, but I love that you're from Wisconsin. Packer fan here for life. Right on. I was a member as a little kid of the Brewer Pepsi fan club, and we would drive. It was an hour and a half drive from Madison to Milwaukee. Like one of my dad or one of my buddies' dads, and all a bunch of us pile into somebody's car, station wagon or whatever, and we drive to Milwaukee. Remember, for the Brewer Pepsi fan club, you got like tickets to 6 games. You got like a hat or a shirt and a membership card. It was the coolest thing. I was like, me and my buddies were like, oh, we're members of the Brewer Pepsi fan club. I got to see Reggie Jackson play live in Milwaukee County Stadium. Of course, he hit a home run and beat the Brewers. Way to go. That oil makes a great dumpster fire, Granny. There's a 6-part history of the YouTube. Oh, I've been to the Packer Hall of Fame. What's up, Blave Silverwolf? Armenia is being invaded by Azerbaijan, who is using weapons supplied by Turkey. Oh, of course. God damn it. Production has got so good with blank screen and new lighting. Thanks, Graham. Oh, my pleasure. Here, we'll do a segment right now. Am I following the NBA Finals? A little bit. I wanted the Clippers, but man, I mean, that's, I think LeBron's going to win another title, and I think Anthony Davis will get his first ring. That's my guess. My Cubbies lost today in game 1. How am I doing, Melissa? I'm doing all right. Everybody here at the like button. 79 watchers, 59 likes. I'm not dancing illegal. All right. All right. All right, everybody. Let's bring up Shabarticle's Shag Butts. Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching The Political Vigilante. A great way to support the show is to go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood, where you can submit articles like Lauren D'Alessandro has done. Lauren, thank you so much. You have been a regular supporter of the show for many years, and we very much appreciate it. And you also, the thing I love about this show, and especially at the Patreon level, is people send me stuff that I wasn't aware of, so then I can make more people aware of it here. And Lauren has sent us fantastic stuff in the several years that she's been a Patreon supporter. Much of it has been stuff about the economy, about the student debt bubble, about all different stuff like this. Well, this is something that I've been talking about, but it's a little alarming because this is in Bloomberg. Okay, this isn't some like lefty site. And I love all those lefty journalist sites, but when something like this hits the mainstream media, you know it's real. Workers keeping Americans fed are going hungry in the heartland. Again, this is in Bloomberg. Hunger is surging in the heart of the breadbasket, showing just how dire the problem has become during the pandemic. There's 3 different people wrote this by Caterina Saravia, Carolina Gonzalez, and Peyton Forty. This just came out a couple weeks ago. This is, and they go into this whole thing about, they tell the story about being in Minnesota, and Jessica was surrounded by the food that she couldn't afford. They tell the story about this woman, Jessica Traxler. So she's working in these fields, getting this food, but she can't afford it. Sitting in a faded out Chevy sedan one July morning in southern Minnesota, she looked out at corn stalks, lush green as far as the eye could see. A few miles to the east, a mill was pumping out flour. Just beyond it, a farm grew peppers, beans, and berries. To the north, there were dairies, one after the other. To the south, a huge pork plant. Grain elevators, poultry yards, cheese plants, all stood a short drive away. She can't afford this. The ranks of Americans fighting hunger are projected to swell some 45% this year to more than 50 million people. I don't want to be right. I take no solace in, when this all went down, everything got shut down. I said, there's going to be food riots. There's going to be eviction riots. We have 28 million evictions that are hanging over our head. And you couple that with this hunger. Trexler, her husband, and 6 children are among them. She had come to this spot, an empty school parking lot in town of Mankato, to collect free boxes of food staples, milk and apples and carrots. Hundreds of Minnesotans waited in line ahead of her for hours. It's been hard, she said. We've had to dramatically change how we eat. Richest country in the history of the world. So while this family of 8 now, who is working, is barely getting by, and they're hungry, and yet Wall Street got $4.25 trillion in the CARES Act. That $4.25 trillion was actually given to the American people. And this is why watching that debate was such a joke. Trump is just a dumbass crybaby, right? Who just complains and keeps interrupting and just says crazy stuff. And Joe Biden is useless too. And then they're all arguing at the same time. These 2 utterly corrupt parties that give Wall Street whatever they want, whenever they want it. Meanwhile, Americans, working Americans, are going hungry. Before the coronavirus shut down the U.S. economy and cost Traxler her job as a substitute teacher, she'd visited some community food shelves, but never been to the large-scale food bank in her life. Now at age 41, she's a regular. This is one of the most jarring aspects of the hunger crisis. About 1/3 of those relying on food shelves, large-scale and emergency food distributions, are now doing so for the first time, according to Feeding America, the nation's largest hunger relief organization. In parts of Minnesota, that number is closer to 70%. Let's look at this graph here. Okay. The US has the largest food insecure population for the world's high income countries and among the worst performers. Percentage of the population that cannot afford energy sufficient diet. United States, 1%. Slovakia, Italy, and then Lithuania below that. Croatia, Canada, our neighbors to the north, 0.2%. We're no longer projecting a surge. We are experiencing. So we're in it, folks. We're in it right now. That's what's happening. We're in this right now. It's not going to happen. It's happening. The evictions are already starting to happen. And our economy hasn't even completely bottomed out yet. And as we learned when we talked to Christy I on the show, and please watch that video, countries in the past, Greece and other countries that have just printed money, it never works in the long run. And we're not even printing money for good reasons. We're not even printing money for our own citizens. We're printing it for Wall Street. We're outspending the next 10 countries combined on war, but we have people here going hungry. During the pandemic, about 1/10 of American households reported they haven't had enough food in a given week. That's a shocking figure for the world's richest country. And let's not forget, billionaires have made record profits during this shutdown. So Americans are going to food banks for the first time in their life. The food banks are overwhelmed. 1/10 of the population says they're not getting enough food in the week because they just don't have the money. People are getting evicted. There's protests in the streets. And Jeff Bezos is set to be the world's first trillionaire. The ruling class is pushing us into a race war. They want this civil war to happen, and they want it to fall along race lines because they don't want working class white people and and all Americans of all ethnicities to get together and go, oh, we need to riot and protest against Bezos and the Walmart family and any of these big corporations and individual billionaires that are making record profits while people are going hungry. Jeff Bezos single-handedly could end this hunger problem in America like that and still be a billionaire. It's more than double pre-COVID figures and the highest since comparable government data starts in 1995. In contrast to the Dust Bowl years of the Great Depression, which is where, and I've said this before, when the stock market crashed and what was it, September of 29, it wasn't until about 1931, 32 that we really started to feel the effects of this. And everyone's like, open up the economy, open up the economy. They were arguing about that and the debate. Okay, let's say we open up the economy right now. Oh, yay. Who's got money? It's still not going to. This 6-month shutdown, and then we're going to have surges in COVID cases over the winter. In contrast to the Dust Bowl years of the Great Depression or the rationing of World War II, the crisis has nothing to do with food supplies. So let's clarify that. The Dust Bowl made just hundreds of thousands of square miles of farmland was not usable anymore. So we couldn't grow enough. That was part of the Dust Bowl, was that not only had the economy collapsed with the depression in the stock market, but the Dust Bowl, there wasn't enough food. This country couldn't grow enough food. That's not what's going on now. Everything that's happening now is created by the billionaire ruling class and these two utterly corrupt political parties that are their puppets. That debate yesterday was a puppet show. Oligarchs holding two puppets. The U.S. in a time of historic abundance There's no reason. There is no reason for anybody to be hungry right now. There is no reason for, there shouldn't be one. We have enough money for every single American to be in a home, an apartment of something. No one should be on the streets unless they're just so out of control with their drug use or something that they don't want to, like, which would be a handful of people, not the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people we have now. It was 500,000 homeless people in America before the pandemic. It's got to be at least 1 million now, if not more. We have the money for everybody to have a food, money, and a place to live. No one should be facing eviction. No one should be facing hunger. We have the money for this. The Democrats in Congress keep approving more increases for Trump's war budget. He said he was going to get us out of these 7 wars. He's still bombing 7 countries. He's got the biggest budget that anyone has ever gotten. And at that stupid debate, he's like, oh, Obama handed me a military that was in shambles. No, fuckstick. He handed you a military that was 7 times the spending of the next 7 countries combined. Now you have 10. It's so ridiculous. None of these Trump supporters who think Trump cares about them, you have been bamboozled beyond repair. And the people who think Biden and the Democratic Party is going to somehow come to the rescue, these 2 corrupt parties created this system to where the richest country in the history of the human race has people hungry and living in their cars. So that's the other point. The people that are living at home, they're falling behind on their rent, and they don't have that much money for food, they're very close to being on the street, which is not good for any society. The crime rates have gone up already during this. They're going to go up even more. In a time of historic abundance, with plentiful grains, meat, and dairy, so much that farmers have been plowing over excess crops and dumping milk. You saw those videos when the pandemic first happened. Well, now the state of California, Gavin Newsom, who has done some good things, this is one of them I'm about to list, but let's not forget, he gave 24 fracking permits on April 3rd in the middle. So he loves fracking, but he has tried to do this one thing I'll give him credit for. He has partnered very quickly with food banks and farmers, because California has a huge agricultural business, to get farmers to give them subsidies to pay this so that they're getting paid for these crops rather than plowing them over. We have such a horrible system that it's better financially for farmers to destroy crops because they can't sell. So we started getting those foods to schools, to food banks, and all this stuff. I even volunteered one day with the American Red Cross to distribute meals to people in LA. Something I would highly recommend. If you can donate money or time to a food bank, please do it. But you shouldn't have to donate money, because the richest country in the history of the world, there's plenty of food for everybody. But lockdowns have snarled supply chains, and food inflation is projected to rise at the fastest pace in almost a decade. Meanwhile, unemployment, low wages, and reduced working hours are diminishing purchasing power, all of which are disproportionately impacting women and minorities, as is food insecurity. Demand at Minnesota's food banks is up 65%. The $600 weekly supplement from the feds, which helped millions weather job losses and pay household bills, came to an end last month. Now we've got this $300, but it was $600. Now it's $300. Some states it's $400 if the state kicks in an extra $100. California's not one of those states. Cost of grocery spikes during the pandemic. See that? See how high that number goes up? That's all because of the pandemic. We have mortgage. We have all our utilities, she said. We really cut back even the fruits and vegetables. So people in this country with all these farmlands and all this, we don't have, they're not eating as much healthy food. So eating not food that's not great increases depression, like people don't have energy, productivity, emotions, fights, all this stuff is increased right now. Food is one of the last things on our list. In a pre-COVID world, it was among the most food secure states. Now, 1 in 8 people in the state of Minnesota is projected to struggle with hunger. Minnesota is home to beef giant Cargill, Cheerio maker General Mills, and Spam producer Hormel Foods. All 3 companies have been donating to food banks, and the Trump administration just dedicated an additional $1 billion to its program known as Farmers to Families Food Box Program, which is buying surplus supplies to deliver to food banks and other organizations. Which is they're doing that on a federal level. That's what governments should do. What Gavin Newsom did in California is not making him some hero. It's what governments should do. Even then, much of the food waste on farms hasn't been redirected because of limited logistics and infrastructure. Gee, I wonder if we stop spending all this money bombing poor people and spent it on our logistics and infrastructure. That's what FDR did with the New Deal. That's what a Green New Deal would do. You know, the Green New Deal that Trump said was too expensive and Biden said, I'm not for. We basically had a Republican debate. A Green New Deal would include helping farms and the agricultural business and making sure that there's money for logistics to get excess food so we're not wasting food. So our citizens, Americans, are not going hungry in a pandemic. This is the kind of stuff you read about some sort of banana republic, third world country. This is what happens in those countries, or in an empire that is collapsing. This is U.S. household hunger before and during the pandemic. The blue is prior. The yellow, right? So before the pandemic, if you look all households, it was 8.2%. Now it's 10.5%. So it's gone up to over 2%, but it still was pretty high. In the black families, black households, it was 18.3%. Now it's 20.6%. That's too high. Latino 12.7 pre-pandemic, now 17%. Again, too high. White 5.1 to 7%. Look at these pre-pandemic numbers are already too high. We would view this as the most significant challenge that the charitable food system has ever faced in the U.S., said Katie Fitzgerald, operating officer of Feeding America, which oversees a network of 200 food banks. Jeff Bezos, Walmart, the banks could all end this problem like that, by the way. They could all end this problem like that. They could end this. They could put people to work solving this problem. We're too busy bombing 7 countries and sanctioning a bunch more. The deepening hardship could explain why Trump is starting to lose support in rural counties. A lot of those rural counties are, red state. They voted for Trump and they're hungry. And where's their food? And he just goes, oh, it was the Democrats controlled. Okay. But if this is happening in Minnesota, I guarantee you it's happening in the Dakotas and Iowa and Nebraska and Texas and Mississippi and Arkansas, all of those places that are big, that's Trump country. All right. Going hungry? His job approval rate among rural residents has dropped over the summer to near the lowest this year, Gallup data shows. Trump spent time in August traveling to Minnesota, along with swing states like Wisconsin and Iowa, also super major food producers. In 2016, about 2.8 million or 13% of America's food workers were food insecure. Food workers. We're not talking about homeless people. That's already horrible. We're talking about people who have a job in the food industry, be it on a farm or at a packing plant or whatever. 13%. That's 2016 numbers. So they were food insecure and relying on the government's food stamps program. That's about 2.2 times higher than other industries. During the Great Recession, that figure surged to 4.6 million people, and the situation could turn more dire now because of prolonged wage stagnation. According to Jose Olivia, the campaign director of Heal Food Alliance, a workers' rights group, this one woman, Alicia Roja, has paid $12 an hour, and the last time her wage went up was about 2 years ago. When a coworker on the farm got infected with the coronavirus, operations shut down and she was out of work for 2 weeks in late June and wasn't paid. Her husband, who drives a truck for nearby farms, was unemployed for about a month during the pandemic. These are essential workers. Expenses piled up. While out of work, she started visiting a food bank where she got bread, meat, beans, rice, and some produce. Now that she's working again, she hasn't returned to the food bank because she says other people need it more. Wow. These people are trying to help out. We got work, so we don't need let somebody else get the food bank. Gee, what a noble idea. Everybody working together. It's hard to do that when you have two utterly greedy, corrupt, filthy parties that are bought and paid for by these soulless maggots called the billionaire ruling class. There are days she doesn't eat anything more than an apple, or maybe a single tortilla with beans throughout her almost 10-hour physically demanding workday. When she returns home, she might have some eggs or potatoes. She sometimes feels helpless, being in abundance and not being able to have it. Jesus Christ. Sometimes it's more important to pay rent than to buy food. Don't you think these companies should be giving their employees some free food? Or instead of 12, this is why we need like $12 an hour, $15 on minimum wage. It's ridiculous. It should be $20 or $25, really. And I've shown this before, this statistic, that if minimum wage kept up with the profits of CEOs, was consistent with their profits, percentage-wise, minimum wage would be $24 an hour. Twice what this woman is making. That's what she should be making. She's an essential worker. She's busting her ass making sure Americans can get food and these big companies profit, and she has to eat an apple. I just suck it up. You don't think about food. It's not uncommon for women globally to eat less or even skip out on food in favor of feeding other family members. Women often eat last. They're eating least if food is scarce. Food inequities are also exacerbated along racial lines. In the U.S., Black Americans are 2.5 times as likely as their white counterparts to have low or very low access to enough food for an active and healthy life. For Latino Americans, the rate is double that of white people. In the Powderhorn neighborhood, where George Floyd was murdered by the police in May, 20% of Powderhorn's residents live below the poverty line in a state with the country's largest gap in median income between white and black people. Some of the grocery stores and restaurants that shuttered during the demonstrations against police brutality and systemic racism have yet to reopen. That's leaving the area even further cut off from easy access to food, according to O'Toole. So, folks, I mean, this article goes. I'll put it in the show notes. But this is what somebody said. To see this in Minneapolis, this is unreal. This is the U.S. and we're dealing with this. We're all human and we have the same right to have food, to have nourishment. These are we can't even fulfill basic human rights of food. I don't folks, this is why we need more boycotts, more nonviolent resistance. This is what it's going to take. We got to just overtake Capitol and overtake Monsanto, and we need to protest some big corporations. This is why we need union wages. If this woman was in a union, they'd be taken care of. One thing they could say is we get a certain amount of free stuff from these companies we work for, or discounts or something. This is the thing I always liked about waiting when I waited tables is you get a free meal. Unbelievable, man. General strike, all stop. Yeah. And it's so preposterous to watch that debate. These are the two best candidates. These two utterly corrupt idiots, Trump and Biden. These two parasites with these political parties that don't give a damn about working class people at all. The Republicans are just a little better at hiding their contempt for regular people than the Democrats are. Both those two guys on stage are funded by big billionaires and big corporations. Both of those guys. Both of their parties are. They're utterly corrupt. And there's people hungry in America, people working in the food. So it's not, oh, this woman's lazy. No, she works a 10-hour shift. Oh. So this is how empires collapse, man. And the ruling class is never skipping a meal. Let me tell you something. None of these billionaires have skipped a meal. None of these billionaires are worried about how they're going to pay their rent or their mortgage on their 3 or 4 vacation homes. None of them. If you're a billionaire, you need to start liquidating a bunch of your assets and just helping people like this out. Because if you don't, these are the people that are going to rise up. Because when enough Americans are hungry and living on the street, they have no more options. That you see how the long-term strategy of this, right? That's why they need us fighting with each other on some kind of ridiculous civil war. We are in class war. Make no mistake. The fact that this woman gets $12 an hour, barely has any food to eat or feed her family, this is class warfare. The CEOs and the upper management at this company that she works for, they're doing fine. Monsanto executives are doing fine. Kraft Foods, they're doing fine. Hormel, they're doing fine. And then they get COVID at these factories and stuff. And then people like Chris Smalls try to organize a strike just to get hazard pay and not be put at risk. He's fired by Jeff Bezos. We are in class warfare. Make no mistake. Pick up a history book. This is what happens. The ruling class has everything, and we are barely getting by. Thanks for watching the show, folks. I'm going to talk about this in a way that the corporate media will never talk about this. So I don't have big corporate donors. There's not going to add, so please help the show. Go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood, rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. And if money's tight and you can't afford it, there's a bunch of great free ways to support the show. First of all, make sure you hit the subscribe button, like all of these videos, share them out on your social media, listen to the Political Vigilante podcast, which is on iTunes and other podcasting platforms, write a good review, share it. All of those are great free ways to support the show. When you watch the ads on YouTube, watch them all the way through. When you click skip ad, I don't get paid. I have a Pandora channel. Both my comedy albums are on it. It's free. I get residual income when you watch it. Those are all free ways to support the show. I understand money's tight for many of you. And so those are great free ways to support the show. And I very much appreciate that. Thanks for watching. Boom. A lot of Americans are so beaten down by the system, they don't have strength to fight back and crumble, becoming completely apathetic. I know. We have a much bigger chance to force Amazon to change than to make it a public company. I actually talk to multiple customers in my store every day who don't use Amazon. Nice. Becca C, super sticker. Thank you, Becca. Thank you. Cat B, what's up, Cat? How you doing, sweetie? This is just the beginning of U.S. food poverty. Learn to grow your own food. Community gardens may be the only way poor people will be able to eat. Food sharing benefits all. That is a great point to talk about this. This is why we need to grow our own food. This is why we got to this is why I'm like, crypto, get out of the central banks, grow your own food. Learn about permaculture. If you live in an apartment, there's ways to do that. I'm going to learn that because I live in an apartment. So you don't have to have some big farm. If you live in a city, community gardens, turn your rooftop in an apartment complex into a community garden, grow food. That's what you have to do, because you can't rely. Look what this. We're not a country. We're like a United Corporations of America. That's what we are. Kat's absolutely right. Grow your own food, man. See if I missed any of the super chat. Boom, 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 boom. Emblem fake. Shave your knuckles for justice. I don't fear the Proud Boys. The biggest white supremacist group is the intelligence agency that destroyed the Panthers and started stupid wars. Yeah. The CIA, the NSA, that you're absolutely right. Melissa H. Shave your knuckles for justice. Dust Bowl happened due to destruction of prairie grasses for farming crops. Bad droughts, but poor farming methods caused it. Ain't humans great? Oh, God. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Jesse L. Boom. Shave your knuckles for justice. What do you think about libertarian ideals? I'm okay with some of them. But I just... and I respect people who are libertarians, because most of them, what they did was they got out of the two-party system and made a decision and did some research and said, I want to be part of this third party. So I respect that about libertarians, and they seem to be more open to listening to different ideas. The whole less government, let the markets fix it. I don't. The markets are why we're here. The free market is why we have that story that I just told you about, why we have homeless people. That's the free markets created that. It's why we have billionaires and people living in tents and people working, the working poor. So that's some of the problems I have with the libertarians. I just froze. All right. Hold on a sec. That is quite a look I've got in my eyes. I'm just looking. I'm staring at you with my frozen screen. Hold on. All right. Hold on. Why is this happening? All right. Hold on.
Hey, can everybody see and hear me? Can everybody hear me? Okay, go, go. Go. Oh, technology. It's wonderful that it allows this to happen. I can do this show anywhere. We can talk from people all over the world. And then it just like a bag of rotten cock bags. Let me get everything all up and running again. Let me do it right. Let me one more. Okay, robot bag of dicks. What's up, Holly Horn? Let's go back to some of the super chats, ladies and gentlemen, and talk about them and say hello. Farkas Garvey, what's up, Shaver Knuckles for Justice? Thanks for being on the show, brother. Do you ever wonder if careless middle to upper class Americans find pride and comfort in seeing so many live in poverty? Why are we okay with this? Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just numbness. We're so numb to the wars and all the destruction we create. I don't know. Maybe you're right. That maybe there's some like that American competitive, like, haha, I made it, you didn't. There's a little part of that. That's why people just, I don't know. It's just so, plus we have such utterly corrupt leaders who just don't care about people. And the 1% are sociopaths. Like they don't care. They just let that happen. They could fix it. And I don't know. It's awful. Pilali. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Mahalo, Graham, for always keeping it real. Sending lots of aloha from Hawaii. Aloha. Aloha. I wish progressive media were using their energy to promote Howie Hawkins instead of riding the Biden gravy train. Yeah, Howie Hawkins, though, that was such a poor choice. That's not going to excite anybody. You know, it's the other thing. It's like, there we go. Perfecta flu oro. Shaver Knuckles for Justice. Never thought I'd ever say this, ever, but after last night, I feel like we need to get rid of Trump. Proud Boys signal made me question everything. No, I mean, Trump is scary, and that when he said, you know, Proud Boys stand by, that was like, whew. It is scary. It is scary. And it makes me so mad at the Democratic Party and the Vote Any Blue Will Do crowd to allow Biden to happen. Like, imagine if Bernie Sanders was on that stage last night. Imagine. Imagine. Yeah, I know. It was like stand by. They pinned him to it. Say these groups are bad. And he said, "Okay, of course I'll say stand by." You know, like it was just, it was brutal. It is. We are. It's going to be, unfortunately, and I hope I'm wrong, but unfortunately, America, between now and whenever January, it's going to be nuts. It's going to be. There was a protest in LA a couple days ago, and somebody drove a car through it. Some Trumper nut. They just randomly started to shoot cops, you know, which it's awful. I don't want that to happen. I got friends that are cops, but I also understand the outrage that's happening. Cops have just been doing whatever they want. They're not held accountable. They charged the cop in Breonna Taylor's murder with the bullets he discharged in other apartments, not killing her. It's just insane, man. Jesse L. Boom. Is socialist libertarian an oxymoron or possible? Oh, wow. That's a great question. That's a great question. I don't know. It might be a little bit of an oxymoron. I don't know if that's possible. Could be. That'd be a great. I'd like to talk to somebody like Richard Wolff about that. Melissa, just what I'm about to say, man. Yeah, Bernie wouldn't have taken that shit last night. And he would have gone after Trump on actual things that Trump has not held campaign promises. He would have said, well, you said you were going to drain the swamp. You gave $1.5 trillion bailout to a bunch of billionaires. You said you were going to get us out of all these wars. You're still bombing 7 countries. You said you were going to help the worker. Your tariff deals with China are killing American farmers. What are you talking about? American people are starving in the heartland. What are you talking about? Graham, you think civil war will happen? I think it's already started. They're pushing us into it. The ruling class has to have this. It's. I don't want it to happen, but it's already starting. I mean, the people driving cars into thing. What happened in South Carolina? Last year, that was a precursor, and then all the George Floyd protests. Trump people driving cars into things, and it was a matter of time before somebody brought a gun. And of course, that kid Kyle, who was raised in a cult, basically, shows up and kills people. He's protected and lionized by that group. So then there's retaliation in Portland, and there's a lot of things suspicious about that. It's just gonna keep ramping up. But in my opinion, it's already starting. I watched it, and I talked about it on this show. There was such unity by large portions of people the first 2 weeks of the George Floyd protests. And then I started watching how the corporate media was covering it. And they kept pushing this race issue. And I was like, wait a minute, every ethnicity under the sun is showing up for Black Lives Matter. What are you talking about? Oh, racial divides are increasing. No, you're pushing it. And then you watch Fox News, and those white conservatives, they think they're under siege. You watch Fox News and those right-wing YouTube channels and stuff, they're just like, they think Antifa is this like organization of Marxists that meet in buildings and are like, they think Antifa and Black Lives Matter are coming to white America to take them, to hunt them down and get them. That's what they think. They think they're under siege. It's awful. In 1993, there were tanks from the Russian army in Moscow shooting at the Soviet White House, inside which were communist politicians fighting back with AKs. It didn't last long, but could have been bad. Yeah, I think, honestly, what is going to happen is, Fox sells fear. All the networks sell fear. Fox sells a very specific type of fear to a very specific group. Hey, white people, especially old white people, Antifa's coming. That's why that white couple in St. Louis, when that Black Lives Matter protest just quietly and peacefully came into their gated community, they came out with their guns. Because they're told that they're coming. They were like sitting there, and they were just, they were so confused that people just walked by and like said, what are you guys doing? And filmed them. Because they are told they're coming, get your gun, they're coming. And Trump isn't even dog whistling anymore. He's just saying, stand by, get ready. Second Amendment people, get ready, they're coming. He's just saying it. So what is going to happen is there's not going to, and they set the table last night in the debate, and they've been setting this table for a while. There's not going to be a clear outcome in November. There's not going to be. It's going to be like 2000, only riots in the streets on top of it. So they're trying to get us to kill each other rather than line up against the 1%. So there's not going to be any clear winner. Whoever is, if there is a clear winner, the other side is going to claim that that they cheated. And the Trump people are going to react either way if he wins or loses, or claim victory. And they're going to go out in the streets and do crazy shit. And people are going to get pissed off and react to them. And all these lefties that have been buying up guns and all the stuff, and then the police and everyone's going to get fed up, and all hell's going to break loose. So grow your own food and stay safe, because it's going to be nuts. And I hope I'm wrong. George Allen, Shave Your Knuckles for Justice. I don't think the Democratic establishment really minds another 4 years of Trump. Makes them a lot of money and big ratings for mainstream media. What are they supposed to do with Biden? Absolutely. I mean, the fact that they got behind the Biden, Joe Mentum, so manufactured, such bullshit. We talked about this. The UN said that these districts that had double-digit exit poll wins for Bernie, Biden won. The UN said that's all the signs of election rigging. The Democratic establishment could have got behind Bernie, but they know if they do that, they lose their corporate money, right? So as I've said, Jimmy said, even Cenk said this. I mean, the Democratic Party would rather lose to Republicans than let progressives take over the party, because if progressive takes over the party, the Nancy Pelosi's and the Chuck Schumers, they're gone, and their billionaire donors are gone. So I firmly believe the Democratic Party thinks, they're like, well, the economy is going to collapse, so we don't want to win the White House, so we're going to let Trump win, and we'll blame progressives and Bernie supporters or whatever else. They'll blame people like me and you. And then the economy will tank, and they can hang it all on Trump. And Trump's great for fundraising. They're just ghouls, man. Ruth Gator Ginsburg dies, and they're like, oh, send out all the emails for fundraising. Like they had that locked and loaded to go. As soon as Biden loses, man, we'll do a lot of fundraising. That's how they think. If Trump's in office, it keeps their fundraising going. That's why they didn't get behind a candidate that could beat Trump. You saw last night. This is the guy that they think can beat Trump. He can't. And it makes me so mad at the Democratic Party and Bernie, quite honestly. Bernie didn't go in those debates hard and say, I'm the guy to beat Trump. Rather, he just go, my good friend, Joe Biden. All right, well, way to go, Bernie. I don't know why Bernie and Tulsi and AOC and them haven't just left and started their own party. If they did, they'd have 100 million people voting for them. But this is worse. This is the utterly corrupt party, and now we're all going to be in the middle of a fucking hellfire civil war, with food riots and evictions and just madness. And COVID's going to spike, and these anti-maskers. It's going to be like what happened when the Soviet Union fell. The communists weren't leaving, and people in tanks, and some military people might fraction off and go, wait a minute, if Trump says I'm not leaving even though he lost, people are going to, there's a constitutional crisis, which there's going to be all these weird allegiances, and some general's going to just go, nope. And then another general's going to go, I side with the president. And then so two generals who have control of an army are going to, like, anything's possible. It's goddamn insane. How are progressives going to learn about Howie if no one covers him? We've already talked about this guy. There's corruption out of the Green Party. Nobody knows. The only way for somebody to win in a third party is have a candidate that can get national exposure. That's just the way it is. Jill Stein, people knew who she were. Had Jesse decided to run, he doesn't want to run. And he said, I'm running in the Green Party. Everyone knows who he was. He would get he would get interview time on the big networks. The U.S. military has been running war games centered around the public being the target. Yeah. To boot, we have the religious nuts. USSR did a referendum, and 2/3 of the USSR voted to keep the Soviet Union together. The elites and Western influence made it break up. Yeah. Yeah, Howie does have the chutzpah to run third party. Bernie won't even do that. I know. Bow, 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 bow. California still needs 5 more electors for Jesse. I'm one of them. Sign up. Go to draftjesse.com. If the Green Party was infiltrated by Dem operatives trying to tank the Green Party, it wouldn't surprise me. I wouldn't doubt that either. I could almost guarantee you there's people inside there, be they Democrat operatives or private intelligence, that have been trying to tank that party. Because they see how quickly that party could just, all the votes Jill Stein got, the donation money, people were like, she didn't take votes away from Hillary. She got independents who weren't going to vote at all to jump in there. Yeah. PSYOP from day one. Yeah, I know. All right, we're going to do another segment. Another hot, fresh segment, folks. We've got 196 people watching, 144 likes. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Also, support the show by hitting the dollar icon, the super chat icon. Melissa H., Shave Your Knuckles for Justice. Melissa, thank you for supporting the show. Taser shields carried by cops at protest for the first time. Yeah. People are going to fight back, man. They're going to fight back. Ranked choice voting is a debate worth having. Absolutely, I believe that. I'd love to see ranked choice voting. Gavin Newsom basically said, no, people are too dumb to figure it out. Thanks, pal. Appreciate it, Gavin. Really appreciate what you're doing. Oops, sorry. Whoop. Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Oden, and you are watching and listening to The Political Vigilante. Like, share, and subscribe. Put this video out on your social media. And if you're listening on the audio podcast on iTunes or Spotify, one of those platforms, give it a positive review. Download. All those analytics help support the show. And go to GrahamElwood.com. Got a PayPal button, got a Venmo, all that business. And also you can support the show by going to patreon.com, which is what Tim Stack has been doing for a long time, and submit stories like this. So I talk about unionizing a lot, right? So first, Tim submitted this, and I want to show this to you. This is just a quote from Tim. he's talking about, hey, Graham, I think you and Chris, this is from my own movie podcast, talking about a documentary, The Art of the Steal, about the politics surrounding the theft of the Barnes art collection by the city of Philadelphia. And so this is interesting because what this talks about, I'm going to show this article, is the elites. There was that documentary, I highly would recommend watching it because it shows, if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've seen it, but how the elites kind of rig everything. And some people got fed up with that. But it relates to this. The Philadelphia Museum of Art fought them. These workers organized anyway. So the Philadelphia Museum of Art, which I've been to, Philadelphia has got some great museums. This came out in August. Earlier this month, workers at the Philadelphia Museum of Art, one of the largest museums in the world, voted overwhelmingly to unionize. I've been saying this for a while, but especially since the lockdown, especially all these companies like Amazon and Walmart, and unionize. These food workers that are getting paid $12 an hour and they're still barely, and they're food insecure, they're having a hard time buying groceries because they're not making enough money. Unionize. This is how you get your power back. We spoke with two workers about how they fended off the museum's fierce anti-union campaign and why all white-collar workers should unionize. All white-collar workers should unionize. They voted on August 6th overwhelmingly to unionize with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, District Council 47. The victory came after revelations of abuse, including a boss sexually harassing workers and another hitting on them, and a fierce anti-union campaign that saw the museum hire the union-busting firm Morgan Lewis. Morgan Lewis, suck it. Everyone there, you're a parasite. The prestige of working in one of the most visited art museums in the world doesn't translate to high pay and respect. Many workers at the PMA struggle to get by, some making less than $15 an hour. Another reason why we need a $15 minimum wage. And as the pandemic continues to wreak havoc on workers across all industries, more and more white-collar workers might turn to union efforts to have a greater say in their workplace. You have all the power. If you walk off and everybody at your job walks off until you get what you want, you have the power. You have to shut it down. General strike. Already some of this unrest has hit broader museum world. A group calling themselves Art Plus Museum Transparency Team, led by a Philadelphia museum worker, created a crowdsourced spreadsheet last year to share salaries and benefits at museums all over the world. Awesome. So they interviewed Noah Thompson. I'm going to just bring in some of this. First of all, they got 89%, which is considered a landslide. And this is what the museum worker said. I'm very excited. It's been 14 months of incredible work and a little bit of whiplash going back and forth between everything that's happened. Morgan Lewis, the pandemic, the election. I'm very excited because it shows that if we can create a wall-to-wall union in the midst of a pandemic and an anti-union campaign, everyone can. That's what's so big. So they, in the middle of a pandemic, they hired a union-busting company, these shitbirds at Morgan Lewis, maggot-ridden, soulless, rat-faced. I'll say maggots again at Morgan Lewis. If you're busting unions, you have no soul. You're not helping anybody except big corporations. So you're either a 1%er and you don't give a shit, or you're enabling them and thinking you're doing good work. They did this. So this is why you think, oh, this is too hard. I'm not there. It was a 14-month battle. It doesn't look like it was easy, but they did it overwhelmingly in the end. I'm excited to be proof to other people in Philadelphia and other museums that unions are possible. And I would say any industry. It's a momentous occasion, and we were incredibly excited and proud, but it's also not lost on me, and I'm frustrated and sad that about 85 of my colleagues were let go before our election. They deserve so much more. That's a real leader right there. We don't know exactly who was laid off, although I will personally say that all of the part-time staff in my department, visitor services, were laid off. That's what they do with part-time people. My entire department, except for our director, was furloughed. Only full-time staff like me have been brought back. People are overusing the phrases uncertain times and unprecedented times. Remember talking about this when everything got shut down? I said some of these companies are going to go, oh, COVID, we got to cut everyone loose, or unprecedented times, or whatever. And let's be real clear about these big museums like this. They usually have some trust by some massive, some Rockefeller type person or an actual Rockefeller set some trust up years ago, and it brings in all this money. And people donate, it's a foundation, and rich people donate, and they have fundraisers and all this. So they have plenty of money, and they have money to pay people good wages. And you should want to pay people good wages if you want to be this world-renowned museum. You're this world-renowned museum that doesn't have union wages? About the voluntary separation packages, we were told staff would have the first 2 weeks of July to apply for it, and then we would have until the end of August to change their mind. And that's when they would be determined to lay off. And so the fact that the layoffs came not at the end of August, but 2 days before our union election, well, I can't say exactly why, but they did hire a law firm that brags about shaping bargaining units to limit union victories. The slogan of my department is, we empower visitors to make the museum their own. That should apply to the staff as well. So this is the organizing process. They started conversations last summer, and the Art Museum Transparency spreadsheet had just come out with entries from Philadelphia Museum of Art and other museums across the country. The spreadsheet had information on salaries and benefits, people personal testimonials about leaving the field because they couldn't find a sustainable long-term job. Transparency, oh, the ruling class hates that. And the ways that lack of transparency around compensation overwhelmingly impacted women and people of color, traditionally underrepresented individuals in the museum. I think of last summer as a summer of connections being made. I'm in the curatorial division, so I had been talking to fellows and other junior level colleagues, and then other conversations were happening in other parts of the museum, and then we kind of all started getting connected to one another. And all of these fun, blind type of experiences like, hey, we're thinking about coming together to improve conditions at the museum. Is that something you think you'd want to be involved in? I don't even think we started using the word union at first. And then last August, is when momentum really picked up and we decided to move forward with organizing. Another thing I really appreciate with this process is we spent a lot of time on our own as organizers, PMA workers. We took our time researching which unions to affiliate with, something you could do it wherever you work. Ultimately, we found the right fit, but I really appreciate that we were working to find our own group dynamic before we hooked up with our district council affiliate. They're a good fit for us. The collaboration has been productive and democratic, and we were able to maintain our own voice through the process. Wow. I mean, this article, just go on. It's fantastic, but this is a big win. When I was growing up, my parents were solidly democratic, solidly pro-union. But it was always discussed as something you didn't need anymore once you got an office job. That's a myth that the neoliberal globalists have sold us. Well, we needed unions 100 years ago when there was all factories, but now we have these fancy, great white-collar jobs for college-educated people. You don't need a union. Wrong. That's what they want you to think. The ruling class has spent so much time, money, and effort buying politicians and ads on the airwaves and journalists to tell you that unions are bad or you don't need them, or they're a hassle, or they hold this back or that back, right? So I would say to anyone in a similar position would be to look around, think about how you feel about where you work. And if there are things you want to improve for yourself or your coworkers, that's enough to start thinking about a union. Workers' rights do not only exist within spaces like factories, they are a need for workers' rights in offices and museum galleries. Don't be afraid. You can improve conditions for yourself and others. Thank you, Tim Stack, for sharing that. Another piece of good news. Take the victories where we can get them, folks. Support the show at patreon.com/Graham Elwood or rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. I also have a Venmo at Graham-Elwood. There's a PayPal button, GrahamElwood.com. Follow me on social media, listen to the podcast, like, share, and subscribe. All great ways to support what we're doing here, because the corporate media doesn't talk about stuff like this. Because they're part of the union busting apparatus that the ruling class has put in place for decades. Thanks for watching. Boom. All right. Super chats. George Allen, Shaving Knuckles for Justice. My wife just said both candidates are a couple of jerks. You want a country, you're going to have to unite with the Proud Boys to fight Jeff Bezos. If someone could do what Fred Hampton did, go to these white nationalists and say, actually, you guys, capitalism creates racism. We're in class war, not race war. Capitalism creates racism. You'll get some of them to flip and realize the error of their ways. Bring a can of Flex Seal and spray on a taser shield. Gorbachev was given the choice to send in the military to force the survival of the state, but he was genuinely compassionate. That's why everybody loved Gorby. Biden said, do I look like a socialist? Of course not. You look like a rich jackwagon. Does Venmo take a commission? Nope. Nope. Here's how Venmo makes their money. So if you send me money, I have an option to transfer it to my bank account for free, and it'll take like up to 3 to 5 days. Or I can do an instant transfer and they take a little fee. So that's where they make their money. People who need the money immediately to pay some bill, they take a little fee. I always do the free one. So that's how they make their money. So if you send me money, Venmo doesn't get a penny of it. I get all of it. So thank you. A lot of people support me on Venmo at Graham-Elwood, and I really appreciate that. I also, in the show notes of all my videos, I have a Bitcoin wallet, a Bitcoin Cash wallet, and an Ethereum wallet. The 3 cryptos, kid. And also, if you're new to crypto and you sign up with my affiliate code in the show notes from Coinbase, using my affiliate code with Coinbase, if you buy $100 worth of crypto on Coinbase's platform, you get $10 of free Bitcoin and I get $10 of free Bitcoin. Everybody wins. $100, just try it out. Hey, Backyard Politics is here. What's up? Check out her show. It's fantastic. She's on the streets reporting. A lot of you political vigilantes are out there. Watch her show. Watch Redneckonomics. They're smaller shows. They need your support. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the like button. Put comments in the videos. All that stuff helps. I'm going to do one more segment, and I'm going to eat. I'm hungry. I'm hungry. Hungry. And I'm hungry like a wolf. It's hungry. Hold on a quick second. Hold on, hold on. Hmm? Now we're talking Chelsea 100. Both candidates are losing because both sides want blood in the streets. Yeah, there was an not ESPN, a CNN poll that came out this morning after last night's debate. They asked people, did the debate make you want to vote for Biden? 37% said yes for Biden. 11% said the debate made them want to vote for Trump, so it hurt him. 57% of the people polled said neither. It was an embarrassment watching those two guys argue like that, like children. It was an embarrassment. God. Tron Carter, shave your knuckles for justice. Love you, Graham. My knuckles are mad chilly. I don't have money, but this is for keeping your word. I'm not dropping the Epstein story. Thanks, bud. Keep Gotham hospitable. Thank you, Tron, and I appreciate it. And I so appreciate people supporting me, especially when money's tight. If money's tight, like I said, there's all these free ways to support what I do. And I really, really appreciate it. So thank you, Tron. I ain't let that Epstein shit go. Both those guys on stage last night have ties to Epstein. They're part of the filthy pedophile sex trafficking ruling class that needs to be exterminated. I wanted to cover this story. So I did this, and then this, and then this, and then that, and then this. Oh, you grumpy old man. Thank you, Tron. Hello. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, I'm working hard, kid. I'm going to take the next 3 days off. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Off. And then Sunday I'll go live, and Monday we're going to do Government Secrets next Monday. We'll record it and drop it on Monday. Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elliott. You are watching The Political Vigilante. So we've been talking these last 2 weeks about the Julian Assange trial. They've obviously been pulling all kinds of crazy tactics, and we've been following mainly Tarek Haddad, who we've had on the show, and trying to get him to come live on the show, but he's been extremely busy. So at the very least, I'm covering his columns that he's putting on TarekHaddad.com. Most recent revelation, they've been spying on Julian Assange. This is from TarekHaddad.com. Operation Hotel. New details of sophisticated spying operation on Julian Assange emerge at Old Bailey. New revelations about the extensive spying that took place while Julian Assange sought political asylum in the Ecuadorian embassy in London have emerged at the Old Bailey on Wednesday. Wow. And he's going to get into it, but what this means, that They violate international law. An embassy is sovereign land, right? So the Ecuadorian embassy, that's considered, this is through international law. This is considered, the Ecuadorian embassy, that's Ecuadorian soil. So foreign governments like the UK, the United States, can't just enter. It's like if the UK sent MI6 or the CIA went down to the capital of Ecuador and put surveillance equipment in their Capitol building or something like that. Vast details of the US-backed surveillance operation had already been made public after whistleblowers from the Spanish security firm UC Global had approached Assange lawyers, and charges were henceforth brought in the Spanish High Court. However, previously unreported information on the extent of the operation has now been brought forward. The two whistleblowers, who have been anonymized to protect them out of fear of repercussions, both joined the Spanish contractor in 2015 when it had been a meager startup launched by David Morales, watching as the firm became embroiled in one of the most high-profile assaults on a political prisoner in recent history. So they claim, oh, we're America, we're all about freedom, and Julian Assange, he put soldiers' lives at risk. Meanwhile, they have abandoned freedom of the press, and now his personal rights. And they've abandoned international law. They've just gone through America. The evil American empire does whatever the hell it wants and then cries victim, like the warmongering psychopaths that they are. The whistleblowers, henceforth referred to as Witness 1 and Witness 2, detailed the intricate workings of the sophisticated sting referred to by UC Global staff as Operation Hotel. They came forward with their testimonies after growing increasingly uneasy about this worsening criminality. Witness 2, an IT expert with the security firm, detailed how Morales had tasked him with replacing the CCTV cameras in the Knightsbridge located embassy in May of 2017, instructing him to source cameras that allowed for clandestine auto recording capabilities. I applaud that these two guys at this, well, maybe one's a woman, oh no, the Witness 1, Witness 2, at this firm, like, actually had some morals. If you work for private intelligence, if you work for the CIA or the NSA, you know this is wrong. You know what's wrong. You know it's wrong. I was instructed by Morales not to share information about the specifications of the recording system and have asked to deny the cameras were recording audio. I was told that it was imperative that these instructions were carried out as they came supposedly from the highest spheres. Look at this. So Assange's lawyer introduced this. Wow. In fact, I was asked on several occasions by Mr. Assange and the political counselor, Maria Eugenia, whether the new cameras recorded sound, to which I replied that they did not, as my boss instructed me to do so. So the guy was asked to lie by his boss and finally couldn't do it anymore. Thus, from that moment on, the cameras began to record sound regularly, so every meeting that when he had, Jesus. So to be clear here, so when Assange had private meetings with his attorney, so that's one of the things, the democracies that we all hold so dear, right? You have the right to a trial, a jury of your peers. You have a right to legal counsel. And those meetings with your lawyer are protected. You can say in confidence, like a doctor. No, that went out the window because it's Assange, because he showed how awful his WikiLeaks. And again, what the New York Times just did with Trump's tax returns, the way they acquired those, shows that Julian Assange and WikiLeaks is free, that they're journalists, they're publishers. He's a publisher. At our offices in UC Global, it was mentioned that the cameras had been paid for twice by Ecuador and the United States. Oh, you double dipped, you weasels, you rats. You soulless rats. You disgusting rats. You diseased rats. That's who you are in private intelligence. You're a rat. You know when you see a rat scurrying around in trash, eating garbage? That's what you are. You're a rat. You're a diseased rat. Congratulations. Witness 2 detailed how Morales had asked for him to arrange for the cameras to contemporaneously transmit the recordings to UC Global's American friends. Rat. Filthy rat. What's it like being a rat? Just a rat. It's a two-faced, diseased rat swimming around in filth just for money. Get into some nice car. You know that car is just rat. It's a rat car. It's a diseased. Everything you've ever bought with that money makes you just as... You're like a drug dealer who lives in a fancy house, but it's all paid for by blood money. That's who you are. Instead, the UC Global employee was instructed to travel to London every 15 days in order to collect the hard drives, passing them to Morales, who traveled to the US. What a rat. What a filthy rat. And frequently with his wife in order to pass the recordings and contacts to the CIA. There's David Morales, founder of UC Global, pictured with his wife. Fifth Avenue, New York City. Yay! I just handed off hard drives, subversing the First Amendment and freedom of speech and freedom of everything. So my wife and I can come to New York because I'm a soulless rat. Look at that picture of that rat. What a rat. Look at it. Rat. Hey, rat, go eat some more garbage, you rat, you CIA bitch. Now, did they fist you, the CIA, or how did they do it? As a strap-on, Morales? What did they use? Just a couple knuckles? How did they get you? The whistleblower alleged Morales sought to hide his newfound wealth from Spanish tax authorities. Oh, God, this just keeps getting better. Recounted a conversation with Morales where Morales was labeled tight-fisted for refusing to pay a 10-cent fee for laundering the funds in Gibraltar. Wow, so you take your filthy CIA money that you use to help a whistleblower. What if the CIA drone strikes you, Morales? Then what? Back in London, the surveillance intensifies. U.S. intelligence agencies were reportedly pleased with the level of communication. That's because they're filthy, soulless rats. Maggot-ridden rats. You're a maggot-ridden rat if you work for the CIA. It's okay. You're everything that's wrong with the world. You do not stand for anything good. You do not stand for the American way. JFK said you should be scattered into 1,000 pieces, and you had him killed. So you're disgusting. You're a filthy rat. You have no soul. You just have the brain of a rat that runs around looking for rat scraps to eat in the garbage, and you carry diseases. So you're a rat. Your family's a rat. You're all rats. Surveillance-savvy Assange quickly cottoned on to the eavesdropping, prompting him to use a radio that blared white noise during important conversations. Certain meetings were conducted in the confines of the women's bathroom. This led to cat-and-mouse game of increasing countermeasures. Not only were microphones then installed in the porcelain of the stall, but intelligence agents outside the embassy deployed laser technology microphones that intercepted conversations through the windows. Witness 2 was tasked with another job relating to this. Jesus. Assange's lawyers presented the evidence to the court as further evidence of the abuse of process that had been taking place in the course of this battle with American authorities. In case it needs reiterating, lawyer-client privilege is a fundamental cornerstone of the rule of law. Lawyer-client privilege is the fundamental cornerstone of the rule of law. When we abandon all these things for freedom, to keep us safe, and we just give up our rights. Remember the Patriot Act? Oh, terrorism, give it up. Give up our rights, give up our rights. Joe Biden voted for the Patriot Act in the war in Iraq. Hillary Clinton did. On top of all those filthy, maggot-ridden Republicans in that whorehouse party. Detestable parasites like Sean Hanratty or Hannity, whatever that punchable face ass bag is. All justified this. keep you scared so you'll sign off on giving away your rights. This is such an abuse of power. It's unbelievable. If I was president, I would just throw Sean Hannity and Rachel Maddow in prison with no due process and just see what, if anybody had any outrage, just to see, how do you like it? You guys wouldn't fight for Julian Assange. I'd free Julian Assange and just lock them up and just see what would happen. See how they like them. Lawyer-client privilege is a fundamental cornerstone of the rule of law. Go check out TariqHaddad.com. The link will be in the show notes. He's doing great work pointing this out. You see how corrupt America is and all of their allies? You see how corrupt they are? We're not the good guys. We are the bad guys. We are the evil empire. This is how we treat whistleblowers. Rather than go, man, our military is out of control. The collateral damage video, that was the big one, right? That Chelsea Manning got given to Julian Assange, showed our military killing children and reporters and not giving a damn. It should have been an outrage. Everyone should have been like, that's it. Big overhauls. No. Obama didn't do anything. He put Chelsea Manning in jail. He wouldn't pardon Assange or Snowden or Chelsea. He commuted her sentence, which means at any moment they could throw her back in jail, which is what Trump did. Trump's also a liar. So this is the filthy ruling class and the evil empire. You have to come watch my shows like this, because there's no way they're talking about this on CNN or MSNBC or Fox or ABC. All those places do is lie for the ruling class. That's all that they do. I don't. Thanks for watching the show. Support what I do. Patreon.com/Graham Elwood. Rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. I have a Venmo at Graham-Elwood. I have a PayPal button at GrahamElwood.com. And there's free ways to support the show. Like, subscribe, hit the subscribe button if you've done it before. Share these videos. And listen to the podcast, Political Vigilante, which is on iTunes and Spotify. Thanks for watching. Shave your knuckles for justice. Boom. Collateral murder. That's what it was. Sorry. Action for Assange channel will cover last day of hearing live at 6 p.m. Eastern Thursday. They have been for the last 17 days. Oh, good to hear. Good to hear. How's it going? Independent Left News over at the Rockfin. Thank you. All right, we had 204 likes. Right on. All right, folks. Oh, what song you want me to sing? Then I gotta go, and I'm gonna be off, and I won't be back till Sunday. Superman Curl is on point today. Thank you, Maddie. Back in Black Shatner style. Oh, I like that one. That's what I'm gonna do. All right. All right, kids. Yeah. 6 a.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. British Standard Time. That's the last day of the trial tomorrow. Yeah, and like I said, when I'm going to try to get Tarek Haddad on next week so he can kind of tell us. I want to hear what he had to say about what it was like being there and what he saw. And all right, here we go. Take care now, friend. Back in black, I hit the sack. I've been too long. I'm glad to be back. Yes, I'm let loose from the noose that's kept hanging around. I keep looking at the sky because it's getting me high. Forget the earth because Spock, I'll never die. I got 9 lives, cat's eyes, abusing every one of them and running wild because I'm back. Yes, I'm back. Well, I'm back. Yes, Spock, I'm back. Well, I'm back. Back. Well, I'm back in black. Yes, I'm back in black. Back in black of a Cadillac. Number 1 with a bullet. I'm a power pack. Yes, I'm in a bang with a gang going warp factor 5. They got to catch me if they want me to hang because I'm back on the track and I'm back in it. Nobody's going to get another rap. So look at me. I'm just playing and making my play. Don't try to push your luck. Just get out of my way because I'm back. Yes. Uhura, open up a hailing frequency and let Starfleet Command know that I'm back. Well, I'm back. Back. Yes, I'm back in black. To live and love and rock and roll and back in black. Spot of all the souls I've known. His was the most human. The most human. Mr. Sulu, well, I'm back. Yes. Shields up because I'm back. Yes, I'm back. Well, I'm back. And Khan, like a poor marksman, you keep missing the target. Yes, I'm back in black. Oh, yeah. Huh. Oh, yes, I know. Hey, yeah. Hey, hi, hey, uh-huh. Well, I'm back. Bones, I'm back. Back, 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 back. Yes, I'm back in black. I want to say it. Oh, fantastic choice. That was fantastic. That was so sweet. I'm glad you guys liked that. I had so much fun. So much fun. Thank you so much for supporting the show, ladies and gentlemen. I very much appreciate it. I'll be back Sunday at probably 3 p.m. Pacific time. Live long and prosper. Free Julian Assange. You're all making Gotham great again. And remember now, shave your knuckles for justice. Stay safe out there, everybody. It's going to get crazy. Stay safe. Make sure you're safe. Make sure you got food. Grow your own food. Stay safe.